Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. You see, Christmas can also bring celebration. Christmas is to be celebrated. You were to rejoice about the Christmas time, the Christmas season. The shepherds, who even though lived in a world that was difficult, and they were looked upon as being unworthy, they were looked at in a negative light, were able to celebrate their lives because the life of the Christ that was born that day. They celebrated. I guess they raised the roof. They went whoop, 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 or whatever you might want to do when you want to celebrate. They were excited. Initially, the Christmas season kind of perplexed them. They were terrified when the angel of the Lord came to them. But they were quickly overwhelmed with joy. They celebrated Christ. They were celebrating the Christmas season. And in that celebration, they didn't just keep it to themselves. The celebration that they experienced was one in which they wanted others to know the joy that they had as well. How do we know? Because, first off, as soon as they were given the good news that Christ was born, they were in the field, they were at work, right? They said to one another, let's go to Bethlehem to see the child. And Scripture says they made haste. They booked it. They took off. They ran as fast as Rod. Maybe. They were getting it. They quickly went to Bethlehem. And when they came upon the Christ child, Jesus, baby Jesus, they worshiped him. They celebrated while they were there. But then as they left, they were letting everyone know. And those who heard marveled at what they were told. You know, it reminds me when we have joys, happiness, excitement in our lives, we like to share it, don't we? We live in a world today where do most people share their joy? Did someone say Facebook? Facebook. People share a lot on Facebook. Some of it's really good. Some of it's like, why did they share that? Well, some of the joys that have been shared recently that kind of gave me a chuckle. Nathaniel, my favorite drummer. Is Jacob going to see this? Yes. My favorite drummer, Nathaniel. I love Jacob. Jacob's my boy, but you my dog, man. You're a Bulldog fan, right? He is now. I knew you weren't Notre Dame Irish. Georgia Tech Marble. Anyway, go Bulldogs. Last weekend, after church, I'm sick. After church, James and Lavania went to the Atlanta Falcons game. And I read 3 or 4 tweets, Facebook, I don't get tweets. Facebook posts. I'm not a bird, I don't tweet. But my daughter does. Whatever she does. Twitter's the way of life for that. But like Lavania puts a little post up there saying, so excited going to the football game with my buddy James. With that voice, I'm sure. Yeah, probably not. I'm a Marine. Marines don't do that, do they? That's right. And James, y'all, I'm taking Lavania to the football game. We're so excited. That's not what they were like posting like, oh, boring. They had a good time. On the way back, you know, there's a post about how much fun they had. Today I was speaking to James about it, and he was talking about all the fun they had with getting parking spaces, getting into it with Giant fans, talking smack about how we won 34-0, and last time when we got beat bad, we at least scored 2 points, stuff like that. Celebrating, excitement. I'm sure there was a bunch of people excited at the football game, weren't they? The George Dome was rocking. People were sharing their thoughts, good or bad. Sure. Yeah. Sign language and sharing, according to James. And it wasn't a phone one, right? The point is this. Good news should be celebrated and shared. Is Jesus your Lord? Has Christmas truly come to you? Or have you missed out on Christmas? Or are you currently missing out on Christmas? If you've experienced Christ, we should celebrate with our lives. You know one of the things I really like about Patrick? Besides that shirt, it's a good shirt, by the way. Stand up for a minute. www.theriverspc.com, go there. Patrick is somebody that generally when I'm around, he's happy. He's crazy. So am I. But I know that he loves Jesus. He's someone who loves Christ. He celebrates his life that way. Sit back down, Patrick. Good job. You go home now, you can say, oh, when you go to bed, and I say, I was a second illustration. I was an advertisement too. But we should celebrate. People should see Jesus in us truly. The shepherds didn't care what people thought about them. They cared what people knew about Christ. Remember, these are the same shepherds who were not exactly looked upon as being good fellows. They weren't popular. They were looked down upon. But when they left the stable and went out amongst those who were in Bethlehem, remember, Bethlehem didn't all of a sudden get empty. There was a lot of people there. They went sharing Christ. And people marveled. When you marvel at something, you're like, wow. Or like Bill and Ted used to do, like, whoa. Excellent. No way. Yes way. Yeah, whatever. People marveled at what they were sharing. They didn't say, oh, get away from me. They were like, really? People are going to see the life that we live for Christ, and they're going to marvel. They may not accept who we are. They may reject the Christ that we have, but they're going to respect the fact that we are real. What was it last time I was here? That we get our real on? That we're genuine? That they know, regardless if we love Christ? And there'll be people whose lives will be changed because of that. One of my favorite memories as a teenager is growing up in Mission, in the Mobile Home Park Mission, Auburn Chapel, and seeing people come in, all kinds of people that would come into the church and see their lives change. And it was one of those things that it was awesome to celebrate the Christ that had changed our lives, no matter who we were. I think about Nacho. Those who have met Nacho know she's kind of excitable. You two get along great, Patrick. She's very awesome. The first time I ever met her, I was like, that's a crazy girl. But I'm glad I met her. And you know what? She's the same Nacho then as she is now, as far as I can tell. She still loves Jesus. She still tells people about the Lord, and she's always, at least when I'm around, excitable and happy. Isn't that neat to be able to say, hey, I've known this person 25 years, and they're not perfect, but I know that they love Christ. And as I shared before, you never know what kind of impact you made on me when I was a teenager. And lots of different people that I met back in that day. Jackie being back. That's cool. Sheila. Jimmy, who didn't even remember me. That's kind of messed up, Jimmy, actually. But you were little, so I'm going to give you a pass there. But to see people in your past who still have a passion and love for Christ, and who are willing to get together and worship the Lord, but also go out there and celebrate Him by sharing Him, is an awesome thing to experience. Christmas does that. Christmas can be celebrated every day. Christ is to be celebrated with our lives. The impact it made is tremendous. Either way, by the way. If we're not living for Christ, that makes an impact too. A negative one. We shouldn't mope around and say, I hate my life. If Christ is in your life, how can you hate it? There may be moments in my life that I'm not really excited about. But I know that Christ is in my life, so I celebrate that. I'm like, I'm glad you're in my life, Lord, but right now I'm not feeling it. But with the Lord, it's not about feeling. It's about the love and commitment that He's made to us and that we've made to Him. Now, the final thought I want to share for us to think about. Mary, as all this is going on, and she's got this newborn baby, brand new baby boy, the Messiah, with her, and the shepherds are there doing what they're doing as they leave, celebrating and sharing the faith. We see this in verses 19 and 20. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. Then the shepherds we see returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had heard and seen as it was told them. But I want to focus on what Mary did. She kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. You see, yes, Christmas can be chaotic in our lives. Our lives can be chaotic. We live in a world that is just crazy. It can be challenging. It should be celebrated, but also it can be comforting and clarifying. You see, Mary pondered all those things that happened. She kept them in mind, in her heart. She was comforted by the fact that even though she was in a barn, a stable, and her child lay in a manger, wrapped in swaddling clothes, she was comforted in the fact that there were people who understood the importance of her life. The shepherds were amazed. And a few short months later, there would be wise men who would come from afar, who would continue to comfort her and clarify to her what was going on in her life. That she was given the gift of the Christ, who would change her life and every other life as well. The Christmas season can comfort us. And it should, because Christ is what Christmas is about. So when you go through the chaos of your life, the trouble that you experience, and by the way, trouble comes everybody's way with a capital T. Trouble doesn't take a detour away from anyone's life. We all experience difficulty. But we can be comforted in the fact that God loves us so much that He gave His only Son, that whoever believes in Him will have to perish, but will have everlasting life. And to know that God's love for us can carry us through anything, whether we are searching for a home, someone to buy our car, or to give us $1, that God is with us. It also clarifies what our life is really about. Mary's life was about Christ. She pondered the meaning of Christmas. There was clarity of thought. She had a true understanding that my life is not about me. It's about God. And how God can be glorified through my life. The river, during the Christmas season, we can be a comfort to the community we come across by sharing Christ. We can clarify to the world around us who Jesus really is, because there are a lot of people who do not know what Christ is about. They think they know. Jacob was telling me, that nephew Jacob was sharing that he has a teacher who equates Islam to Christianity, saying they're pretty much the same. Christ and Muhammad are so far apart. There's God and there's a false prophet. There's love and there's hate. We need to be letting people know who Christ really is, starting with our lives. Christmas can be a great time of year. Every day is Christmas for the believer. The to celebrate who Christ is. Despite the chaos, the challenges, with the celebration and the comforting and clarity of who Christ is. So celebrating Christmas can be easy. Living through chaos, piece of cake. Succeeding despite the challenges, no problem. Being comforted, especially through Christ. Having clarity of thought, understanding who we are, right before us. So the ultimate time of invitation. Are you at a place in your life where right now you're struggling through the chaos? You're having a hard time meeting the challenge. Celebration is far from your thought process. You're not being comforted because you're concerned with your life. You're struggling. You're not sure what direction to go. Clarity is far from you. I would encourage you to do as Mary did and ponder in your heart all that Christ is doing for us and wants to do for each of you here.